Welcome, everybody. My name is Patrick Snow, host of the Patrick and Mary Unstoppable Author Interview Series. Today, I'm absolutely delighted, all the way from Honolulu, Hawaii, to interview our special guest, June Dillinger. And June Dillinger has written this fantastic book titled The Benefit of the X, Making Love Visible When Everything Changes. And she has a very impressive resume, so let me read this and then we will begin. June has been blessed with the ability to see the true inner beauty of human spirit despite outer appearances. June moved to Hawaii and has resided on Oahu for more than 30 years, hosting the television show titled It's All About Love, has allowed her to interview a multitude of inspiring thought leaders over the years. As a professional keynote speaker and presenter, she is able to captivate audiences with her unique background and inviting message for all ages. Her uplifting message transcends the static of our digital age and rises over the roar of the crowd. Her topics tug on the heartstrings of human condition by speaking directly to the emotional well-being of her audiences. Her heartfelt stories and wisdom are grounded in the fact that we must face our connections with each other and the divine, and most importantly, within ourselves. Self-love is slowly diminishing in our Western culture, and June is on a mission to change that. Her book, The Benefit of the X, teaches us how to remember, to let go of the past, and that everything in life, both good and bad, is setting you up for an amazing comeback. June is also an amazingly talented relationship coach, and she's also a wedding officiant. And so all the way from Honolulu, Hawaii, let's welcome June Dillinger.
Yay. Thank you, Patrick. Aloha, good morning. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever everybody is.
Yeah, so as we begin, for those that want to follow along online, tell us your website again so they can also look as well as we begin.
Yes, so the website is makinglovevisible.com.
Makinglovevisible.com. But you need to do it in private, like don't do it on the beach, kind of like, is that what you're talking about?
No, you make love visible wherever you want, Patrick.
Right.
It's just like aloha. It's just like namaste.
There we go. I love it. Well, as we begin, let's talk about how we got connected. I'm trying to remember. By the way, welcome back. You were on about a month or two ago, and everybody loved you so much that they asked to have you come back on again. So we're thrilled to have you on our show a second time. But as we begin today, tell us how you and I connected. I'm trying to remember how that all came together.
Patrick, you know what? I'm trying to think back to that too, because there was somebody that said, you need to talk to this guy because you're all jammed up with your book. He'll help sort you out. And I couldn't imagine that there was actually somebody that existed like that would help sort me out. And somehow I don't remember, but all I knew is that you were magnetic. And I needed to know how to get my groove going with you, because I could tell that you had the pieces and parts together that would focus me and align me. And I could hear in your voice your commitment to the author, which made a difference to me.
Well, I remember the first time we met, I was in Honolulu speaking at another event. And the night before, I believe, we met at a hotel lobby. Maybe it was the Ala Moana Hotel.
It was. Yes.
And it was like 9 o'clock at night because your schedule was busy and I was busy on the road all day. And we hung out in the lobby from like 9 to 10:30 and we did our first coaching session there. So congratulations on the success of your book. But let's begin. And as we do this and dig in, share with us a little bit about you and where you grew up and how you grew up and just talk about, what made June Dillinger who she is today.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking, Patrick. I was adopted at birth. And it wasn't just like a normal adoption, not that any adoption is normal, but the couple that adopted me, the man had been in an automobile wreck and slipped off an icy road on Christmas Eve, and he was a student at Yale. And he became a paraplegic, and he chose to go to Michigan to recover, and he met a woman while he was in therapy, and they fell in love. He couldn't go on to become a general surgeon, so he decided to study psychiatry and ended up going to Menninger. And then beyond all of that, they moved to San Diego, bought a house on top of Mount Soledad in La Jolla, and decided to adopt. And so I was their first child that they adopted. And so much of my I believe my vibration or who I am comes from the experience of being raised by a what was then called handicapped, disabled, and now physically challenged person. I appreciate that because my dad was not handicapped in any sense of the imagination. He went on for a very healthy medical practice. And yeah, so growing up sitting on a lapboard through the Del Mar Fairgrounds and having people look at him like he was the hunchback because he was a little hunched over, and but he's a really handsome man, and it was an interesting experience as a child, but also noticing the way people looked at us. And did I really care? No, I didn't care because this was my daddy. So
Yeah.
that really set the foundation for love for me. And my mother was equally as dedicated. Yeah. So thank you for
Wow.
asking.
Well, I've been right there to that Mount Soledad there in La Jolla, so I know right where you're talking about. And
Oh,
when you said first of the adopted children, did they adopt other siblings as well that are now your siblings?
I do. I have a younger brother that was also adopted at birth, and he lives over there on Maui in Kihei.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So
Yeah.
two of you all together.
Yeah. And we ended up here in the islands because actually, while my parents divorced, my mom remarried for 38 years until her husband passed, and my dad remarried for 17 years.
Wow.
And when my mom and stepfather brought me over here as a teenager, I fell in love. And so came back for college, married an island local boy for almost 20 years. And now it's 40 years later, and I'm still here and I love Hawaii.
Well, you talk about in this book, because I love the title, The Benefit of the X.
Yes.
Take us through the events in your life that brought you up to this position where all of a sudden one day he came to your doorstep and then you thought, wow, there's a benefit here. So tell us that whole story and how that happened with your marriage.
Well, I remember I was thinking about this the other day, Patrick. I remember when we got married. Well, first of all, we eloped. And my mother said, "You can't steal my thunder. You're my only daughter. You have to get married in the church." So I ended up going to La Jolla to get married in the church. And I remember putting on her gown and I wore her dress and having sort of I got all uppity and snotty, and I was trying to be somebody I wasn't by being that stuck up bride that was what do they call them? The bridezilla. I
Yeah.
thought that that's the way brides were supposed to be. And I began to, from the very beginning, I was wondering, like, why are you doing this? What are you doing? Why are you trying to be somebody you're not? Just be the pleasant June that you are. And then years later, when I was struggling in my marriage with Ray, because we married young, and I don't know if it's the same for any of you or anybody that's listening or watching, but um, we change as we grow. And not that it's good, bad, right, or wrong to stay with a mate, but what I discovered in my relationship with Ray was that I didn't know who I was. I wanted to be with Ray because he swam, bike, and ran. He was a triathlete. I didn't even know what a triathlete was back in the day, 40 years ago. Who knew that at that time, the Kona Ironman was actually held on the island of Oahu. The Kona Ironman didn't even exist. And so to think that somebody would swim, bike, and run all that distance. And so I busted my tail to keep up with him because I wanted to be with him. And then as years went by, I just realized, you know what? I hate all of this. I don't like exercising. I don't want to drink beer afterwards. I don't want to talk about my personal best. I don't care. I just want to be with Ray. But his interests were different. And I really had to take a look at who am I? Who am I being? And so that led up to a conversation with my father who moved over here. And when I told him I was struggling, and he said, "June, just let Ray be Ray and you be you." And I felt like it was this breath of air that I had permission to be who I was without trying to be somebody else. I'm still struggling with that today, but it came to the pinnacle where even after mediation and we decided to split, Ray came to my house and he came up the side steps and he leaned into me as I was looking down at him, and he handed me the monthly check. And I looked at it in sort of a snarky way. I said, "Oh, there are so many benefits to my ex." And then I heard myself again, like the day I got married in that gown where I was being a bridezilla or a wannabe that had nothing to do with who I really was. And I looked at him and I said, "Oh my gosh, this is so kind," because the amount of the check was more than he was supposed to give me. And it was that way every single month, Patrick.
Wow.
And I said, maybe, maybe I could write a good story. Maybe I could write about the good news about growing after a relationship is complete. And he said, June, I support you. I think you can take this idea all the way to Oprah. Call it the benefit of the X.
Wow.
And that was the kickoff. And I was beginning to ask too, through some self-development work that I had done, like, what kind of legacy can I leave? How can I make a difference in the planet? Where can I use my voice of authenticity and vulnerability and being real in relationships? And I still struggle with it, but yeah, so thank you for asking. Thank you.
Wow. So today you've become a professional keynote speaker. You're a wedding officiant. You're a relationship coach. I mean, the world needs all of that and more. So can you tell us a story or maybe some examples of what brought you on this career path of being a wedding officiant, a speaker, a coach? I mean, that's a pretty fascinating career that you've selected.
Well, when your life is messed up, the best way to fix it is to be of service. And I've written this in my book. I was actually facilitating public speaking in the women's prison here on Oahu. And I called my mother and she said, well, if your life is messed up, you need to be of service. And I said, Mom, I already am. And she said, well, clearly it's not enough. And that next Sunday, I happened to be sitting at Unity, a spiritual community here in Honolulu that's Christian based, very pan-denominational. And I heard them say they had a volunteer position for prison ministry. And I said to myself, prison ministry. And I was just beginning to discover my own light. I was just beginning to understand who Jesus was as a man, who Buddha was, who Allah was, who Muhammad was. I was diving into a spiritual path. And so I looked into it, and it was actually becoming a prison minister in the men's maximum penitentiary here on Oahu, and also in the correctional facility for men. And through 5 years of volunteering twice a week, I would leave that prison completely healed myself. I mean, I don't know what happened for the inmates, but I would leave crying, feeling so good about whatever it was that I read and the way that I showed up, 100% committed. And I discovered that it was through service that my life could change. And one of my colleagues said to me, hey, June, we were walking out of the correctional facility up in Wahiawa through this big field of tall grass, and our cars were parked down the hill. And she turns to me and she says, why don't you join my wedding business? And I looked at her and I said, doing what? I'm thinking, oh, I'd be a great coordinator. Oh, I love flowers. I wonder what she needs. And she said, well, marrying people, of course. I looked over my right shoulder, and then I looked over my left, and she jabs me and she says, you're the only one standing here. I'm talking to you. And it was amazing. And so I worked with her for 6 months, and she kind of threw me in because she saw what she saw. She said, all the inmates love you, people love you, you know, and I had just competed in the state championship as one of the top 10 speakers in the state for Toastmasters. And so I knew I was likable. I knew that I was working on myself. And 6 months later, I discovered I could also do it myself. And so I asked her, I said, Reverend Tony, I know I can do this myself, but I don't want to be competition, and I don't know what to do. And she straight away said to me, June, there's enough love and money for everyone. How can I support you?
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. And how many marriages have you done over the years? Just
well,
off
let's
the top
see.
of your head.
I'm heading into my 13th year. And so far, myself and my team, I have a number of kahu, that's the Hawaiian performers, and officiants that perform pan-denominational ceremonies for all couples, LGBTQAI+, non-gender conforming, all of them, heteros, whatever. To date, my company has performed over 1,000 ceremonies.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. And those are on the beach and in the jungle and everywhere in between.
On top of Diamond Head, helicopters, after jumping out of an airplane, all kinds of crazy stuff.
It sounds so exciting. Wow.
It's really beautiful.
Well, can you share us the most interesting story that's happened to you since you started on your career as a relationship coach, as a keynote speaker, as an author, as a wedding officiant? What are some exciting stories?
Probably the best and the worst of it is this. One cannot write a book called The Benefit of the Ex and walk away from the story, from the process, from their life. And I'm speaking of myself. And when a relationship doesn't work out for me, if I am not using and working my own material, it's so painful. I'm like, are you kidding me? Here I am. I can't believe I wrote this dang book. What the hell? And I get mad at myself, and I'm like, just use the work. Allow, open, invite, traverse, be available to possibilities. And so this last experience of being in relationship has asked me, why am I in this business of love? And my greatest hope is that my vulnerability and my honesty and my authenticity invites other people to see theirs. Because, Patrick, I mean, I have wanted to have an intimate, rocking, depth-filled, spiritual, dynamic match of a relationship. And when it gets close, but it's not it, looking at all the pieces and parts of why not, it brings me back to this book that I wrote and really working on myself. And it's painful. And I'm a little bit in the mix right now. And yeah, I've had a few tears, and my book is, it's a support to me, which I'm like, oh my God, I just want to throw it out some days, but I'm like, shoot, it really, it really works.
Well, last time we talked, you mentioned about just, best advice for dating is just get out there and swipe right and swipe left. And so talk about that, because I thought that was a kick how you said that.
It is true. There's a lot of people that poo-poo internet dating, but the truth is that there's an opportunity to check in to see what's there, and really go like, do I like this face? Is it about the face, or is it about the words, or is it about the face and the words? How did they come across to me? And so by being able to look at internet dating in the privacy of your own home and check out people, I mean, you could even sit around and look at the opposite sex profiles and in the privacy of your own place without anybody knowing, just to see what do they put up on theirs? What could my profile say? And really, it allows somebody to get the feeling of who they're being. And then definitely mistakes will be made. And you'll see that there are a lot of, they call them bots, those things that show up that are not really real people or unverified people. And it's really just getting the flow. I'd say probably now for my weddings, a quarter of the people have met online.
Wow.
From Tinder to Bumble to Match to Our Time to Plenty of Fish. There's just all kinds of ways that people meet. And so I would definitely suggest it. It's just a temperature check-in. It may not be for you, but hey, it's an option. And now we're mask free. So without COVID, well, I don't know, we'll see how long that lasts. But, people have said, oh, but you can't see their face. I met a man a couple days before Christmas, and we saw each other afterwards. And he said, the one thing I remember was the beauty of your eyes. Well, of course, he couldn't see the bottom half of my face, but because we wear masks, that's the only way to see somebody. You can't look at their lips underneath their mask. So really the benefit of the eye contact has been phenomenal for relationship building. People can't look away if they're listening.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Well, can you share a story about the funniest mistake that you made when you were first starting, and tell us what lesson you learned from that?
Oh my gosh. The funniest mistake I made when I was first starting. Well, I thought butterflies were really important because there's the story. They begin as as I think it's a worm that turns into a cocoon that turns into a butterfly. So I thought I would use this whole theme for the benefit of the ex. But then all of a sudden it didn't feel very masculine. And so I turned all of my art into black and yellow. And then it turned into a bumblebee theme. And this whole thing, I had all of these cards that I was out hawking to people, whether I was walking through Waikiki saying, what is your story of the benefit of your ex? What is your story of the benefit of the ex? And actually there's this one really great experience I had where I was talking with this man in Waikiki, and it created a date for us. Which turned out to be delightful, but not the way to build a relationship by asking somebody about the benefit of their ex. So the whole experience of writing, as you know, Patrick, is it has these faults and these humorous moments where I look through my files. I'm like, I cannot believe I even wrote that stuff. What was I thinking? You know, so, but there's nothing really over the top that makes me think of something besides trying to begin with a butterfly and making it masculine, because
And the
love is for
butterfly,
everyone.
yeah, the butterfly evolved into the X. Well, do you have a favorite life lesson quote or a story that is relevant to how relevant it is in your life and your work? What would that be?
Absolutely. My favorite quote is by Beverly Sills. She's an actress. And it's relevant in every moment of my life when I'm looking for a shortcut. And this is it. There are no shortcuts to any place worth going.
Mm.
There are no shortcuts to any place worth going. I'm having that experience right now. I've had high blood pressure for several years, and I didn't want to take medicine. And so I have read this book called 30 Days to Natural Blood Pressure. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do it in 30 days. Well, it's more like 90 days, but I've had to have been kind to myself because it's not overnight. Nothing is overnight. And I don't think, I mean, I was thinking the other day, I was using the analogy of when somebody wins a jackpot in Las Vegas and they have all these millions of dollars. What percentage of those people still have all that money? What percentage of those people still are working with those funds? You know, it just goes like that. Unless we actually earn the right to tell the story, unless we really have a knowing, like, for instance, and I shared this the last time, you know what you know what you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, powerful.
So I'll say that one more time. So I know what I know. Like I now know how to publish a book, thanks to you. I know that I don't know how to change the oil in the car because I don't know. And I don't know what I don't know. So unless I'm invited into a new way of thinking, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so until you have that sense of knowing, can you actually get to the perfect end of your results? So by asking for a shortcut, I mean, I want a shortcut all day long. I'm the first to say that. And I think sometimes I think multitasking will help make that happen, but it's just not true.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
just not true. So
in your book, you have a chapter talking about the love spectrum. Tell us what the love spectrum is.
So the love spectrum is going to be everything that we're looking at that does and doesn't work for us. So it's, for instance, when I mentioned something about Tinder, what are all the spectrums of that? What are all the things that we're asking for? What are all the things that we really desire, we really want? And are we able to digest that and put that into the big, gigantic picture of what it's supposed to feel like for us? So the spectrum of love being so broad, what is it that you want? Because what I want is different from you. You may not want the kind of life that I want, the kind of lifestyle that I live, but if you begin to discover your own love spectrum and ask yourself the deeper questions, you'll be able to make it through and over the hump to the next stage. And you know what? I promise you, you'll fall right back into it. There's no shortcuts to any place worth going.
Wow.
It just isn't. Yeah, you'll fall back.
Furthermore, you talked about inviting love in and making room for love. What does that mean?
So sometimes when I say inviting love in, I want to just say, all right, just do me. Hurry up. Let's get it done. Like, here I am. Use me. Show me the way. So inviting love in is just saying, it's more than being willing. It's more than allowing. Like allowing is just saying, all right, you know what? I think I'll make a little space for this. A willingness. Inviting love in is saying, okay, you know what? I'm available. I'm open to this now. Let's see what's possible.
I'm going to clear my calendar and I'm going to go on this date, even though maybe I don't know that it's the right one, kind of things. That's what you're thinking?
Yes, because that's part of the spectrum of love. And you get to see what's possible for you. If you're not doing it, I mean, you could stay home and swipe right, and just text back and forth all the time. But is that the kind, then you have to ask yourself, is that the kind of relationship that you want?
Yeah, very good. Our guest today is June Dillinger. The book is titled The Benefit of the X, Making Love Visible When Everything Changes. Her website is titled makinglovevisible.com. Makinglovevisible.com. So are you working on any new projects now? And
I
how do you
am.
think that you'll be able to help these people?
Yeah, I've got a couple, but I want to share something quickly, Patrick, that has to do with you.
Okay. I'm all about
So
that.
when I started this whole journey with you, Patrick, uh, I loved how you told me if it's going to be a self-help book, you have to have an ing. You have to. And I'm like, Patrick, I'm not changing the title of my book. I like the benefit of the X. It's edgy, it's catchy. I like it. I'm not going to. And he said, well, I don't care. You have to have an ing. And then one day I was with a girlfriend of mine, and when she hopped out of my car, she said, you know what, Junebug, wherever you go, you just make love visible. And I thought to myself, wow, isn't that an interesting phrase? I like that. And then I thought to myself, as I began to work with you and the unfolding of the book and the willingness and the desire to invite a new idea in, because I was close to that. I was super close to your thought. I'm like, I'm not putting an ing in there, but I also like, wait, I hired a coach. I said I was going to follow the path. This dude knows what he's talking about. He has a tired and true program. I'm going to do it. And so it came to me that my book, as it unfolded with the process, was about making love visible when everything changes. And that felt good to me. And so hurrah for you, Patrick, because you were like the gel that made the whole book come together with that subtitle. And I'd like to see it as a Mother Teresa sort of idea, like let's make love visible everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so when you ask about that, I have a couple of other projects. I'm working on a book called The Other Soul, Soul. And it's practical enlightenment for everyday life. And it's actually going to be a picture book of about, I'll say 75 pairs of shoes, not over 1,000, but about 75 pairs of shoes that I took pictures of people's feet while hiking the Diamond Head Trail and working on my life. And so there'll be practical enlightenment quotes underneath all of the shoes. Just a fun picture book, like things that just the other soul, like where are you walking on your path? And then my other project they're called Heart Cards. And it's a deck of cards that were a co-creation. And they are, you could call them affirmational cards or uplifting, but there are 51 cards in this deck. And they show you yourself, not like a tarot deck or an oracle. They're simple statements with questions that are attached to them on the back of the card, and they're really beautiful. So if anybody's interested in the cards and their history, you can find them at heartcardsglobal.com, and they can be ordered online, Heart Cards Global. And they're super beautiful. I've been facilitating workshops, and actually next week I have a workshop I'm doing with Habilitat. That's a recovery center on the Windward side for 21 women with the deck of cards.
Wow. Amazing.
Exciting.
Incredible.
Super exciting.
So as a relationship coach, I say studies show that 50% of first marriages end in divorce. And I once read that 80% of second marriages end in divorce. And then I have a client in Maui who's writing a book titled How to Succeed in Your Seventh Marriage. And so I got a kick out of that title. But as a divorce coach, relationship coach, you're not a divorce coach, but as a relationship coach, can you tell us a bit more about your experience going through a divorce or helping someone who is going through a divorce? What did you learn about yourself through your experience? And do you feel comfortable sharing that story, and as to how do you help others with their divorces?
I do feel comfortable. The whole struggle in relationship is really accountability. So if you were to ask me what kind of coach I am, I would say I'm an accountability coach. Not so much a love coach, but an accountability coach. And by that, I mean, when you check in with yourself and you feel a little something in your chest that you know is not right, or in your belly, your gut, your intuition tells you and you don't listen, or In the Hawaiian word, it's na'au in your belly. And you just know, but you do it anyway. And you continue to do it anyway. So working with accountability and oneself, actually listening to that still small voice is the greatest challenge, because I heard it. I heard it a long time ago, and I heard it throughout my marriage, and I didn't pay attention to it, and I didn't speak to it. And the reason why for me was because I was afraid if I spoke up, this is just coming from me, it may not be from you, but I was afraid if I spoke up, number one, I wouldn't be smart. And number two, I wouldn't be loved. Number one, I wouldn't be smart. Number two, I wouldn't be loved. And number three, because I grew up in a very wealthy Caucasian environment and my family was Midwestern, I rode a bicycle. I didn't have a car when I was 16. I had homemade clothes. I didn't have resentment more for my surroundings, but I wanted to fit in so badly. And so when we begin to look at those feelings that lie beneath, the reasons why we're not accountable to our own self, those are the things that unwrap us and allow us to make space to take ownership of who we are. And frick, it's not easy. There are no shortcuts to any place we're going. It takes work. And so that willingness, that desire to be like, you know what, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm willing to change. I'm open. Show me, do me, take me somewhere. I mean, some people run away to Italy. I don't know what they do, but people have all kinds of solutions. And when you move, does it really help, or are you taking your problems with you? But it takes a lot to bring oneself to the game of life. Definitely.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing. So in your opinion, what are the most common mistakes people make after they go through a divorce, and what can be done to avoid those mistakes?
Doing the same thing again. Doing the same thing again. And I can say it, like the first man I dated, actually, I said to myself, oh, I saw him on the internet. It was a internet date. And I said, I'm going to choose this guy because he's not local Chinese, he's local Filipino. And he has long hair. Maybe that'll be different. And I liked what his profile said. In the end, that lasted about 3 weeks. And today, I think it's been 15 years. We are really, like, he calls me his best friend. His daughters he says, my dad always says you're his best friend. And so we've become very good friends. And there's a benefit to an ex there again too. So, but being willing to work through that. And as a matter of fact, I married him to his wife. And so, it's how am I holding myself? So, but that doesn't mean I haven't kept making the same mistakes, but I'm getting better. Like the driftwood is floating by. Some of it comes closer to my shore and some of it goes further away. And then some of it lingers a little bit longer until I see that really is that the log that I'm going to ride down the river with. And so, and it takes practice. It takes practice. And in the meantime, I have to even remind myself right now, as I'm having an experience of me, that I have to be kind to myself. You have to be kind to yourself when relationship doesn't work out, because my belief is, and even when I don't want to believe it, I know that it's true, that we are always being set up for success. And if it's not this, then there is something better. There is something better. So Spirit's saying, that's not perfect for you. That's not right for you. Are you really listening to what you want? Are you really being accountable to yourself? And I found myself in my most recent relationship not speaking into it. And that wasn't what I wanted. And so, because I didn't want to be, I wanted to be loved, and I was afraid of not being smart. Same
So
program.
In essence, there's an old saying that says in relationships, hurt people, and healed people, heal people. So oftentimes what you're saying is the mistakes that we make is we're in a relationship and it's not working, and it's not working for these reasons. And then we leave that relationship and then we attract the same exact person again and again and again, realizing that's not what's right. That's what you're saying in essence.
Yes, unless you're creating an awareness. So this last relationship I went into, I had created awareness of what I wanted. And while it still didn't work out because there were bits and pieces that didn't match, the foundation of what I wanted was there. So I feel much closer to what's coming next.
Yeah.
And being open to that, but also really allowing like I said, to be kind to yourself. And I have to take responsibility for my own choices. I was present. I chose. You choose, you choose, you choose, you choose. Nobody twists your arm to walk down the aisle to get married.
Yeah, very good point.
Unless of course you have a cultural experience and it's a predestined wedding, and that's part of what your culture does. It's a very different conversation.
Yeah, wow. Well, people generally label divorce as being negative. And yes, well, there's some downsides. There are also a lot of positives that come from it. So what would you say they are? And can you share an example of a story?
Oh, absolutely. With my ex-husband, Ray. Well, there's a bunch of benefits with Ray. Besides that, he owns a running store, and I always look great when I go out running because I have running shoes and running clothes. But he has a wonderful wife. My son says, "Oh my gosh, June, Brenda is just like you, but on steroids." I'm like, "Is that possible? It's impossible to be like me and on steroids." I thought I was like, anyway, but Brenda's an amazing lady. And when I had my book signing, she came to perform. She's a musician and she's lovely. And so we've developed a friendship, and it's possible that if I'm willing to allow somebody else to be happy and make space for them to celebrate their own life, it's possible for me too. But not until I let go and let somebody else be happy can I be happy myself. That's just the bottom line. If I want to be all pissed off because they were behaving the way they were, I have to remember that I chose, and I can choose differently. But the benefits are, yeah, I love Ray. I love him today. Sometimes I actually say to myself, "Oh my gosh," here I say, "Oh my gosh, he's so handsome," or "I really, what was I thinking?" Or "He's really a kind man." And then I go like, I'm so glad he's with Brenda. That's really good. They're a perfect match.
You don't want to be doing all that running, swimming, and biking. But in essence, what you're saying is it's okay to, let go, to forgive, to move on, and then to be their friend. And by being their friend, you can welcome in their new relationships as a friendly thing. And when you put everything on that friendship level, then it's more peace in your life.
Yes, because if you think about it, and you chose a relationship of love, and you got married for love, and you were having all these expectations, like most people do when they go into a marriage or into a relationship, well, why wouldn't you want them to be happy? And why wouldn't you want to be happy yourself? And basically, it gives the space to be done with it. It just gives you the space to be done with it and move on and take ownership of your own life. Let them be happy. Let them be them and you be you.
Wow. Your dad was a brilliant man when he gave you that advice. Wow. So some people are scared to get back out there and date after being with their former spouse for many years and hearing all these horrific dating stories. So what do you say to motivate someone to get back out there and begin again in the dating scene?
Oh my gosh, I just met somebody recently who was married for a very long time, and his wife passed. And I actually said to him, "Oh, you're lucky you met me because I'll be graceful on you." But, you just have to think about that. They really need to be tender-footed, but if they're desiring love spectrum, that they make a list of the qualities that they want. Because if you've been in a relationship for a really long time and you've been comfortable with that, I mean, this friend of mine is a widow, and there was a lifestyle pattern for him. And when you've been married for 35 years, life then, when you got married or you were with somebody, is very different than who you are today. I don't even care if it was 5 years ago. We change every single day. There's no going back to that behavior that you used to be. Doesn't work the same way it does today. So really spending time with yourself, whether it's in prayer, meditation, and asking, what is it that you're looking for? And are you open to this possibility? So my older gentleman friend says, "I don't want anybody to live with me, and I don't want to live with anybody else. I just want to date and have fun and enjoy my life." Like, he got clear on that. So now
There's nothing wrong with that, and that's
nothing
okay.
wrong with that. Yeah, feeling a little bit more free to date freely.
Yeah. Wow. Well, this is, I think, one of the best things that you offer as a relationship coach or an accountability coach. Say you have a close friend that comes to you for advice after their divorce. What would be the 5 things that you would advise for them in order for them to survive and thrive after their divorce? 5 steps.
Is that in my book, Patrick? Do I need to go grab it?
It's the chapters of your book. Yeah. I'm okay if you only give me 2 or 3. So yeah, that's
No,
good.
I can do that. So the first thing I was going to say is carve out time for yourself.
Mm,
Carve out time for yourself, whether it's reading, whether it's meditation, exercise, or making time for friends.
mm,
Carve out personal time for yourself. I'm not talking about taking on another job to eat up to consume your time. I'm talking about doing things that are self-building.
yeah.
So carve out that time and then do it.
Yeah.
Don't just put it on your calendar, do it. It's like
Mhm.
retiring from a job. There's plenty of people that retire from a job and then they don't know what to do with themselves. So carve out time and then do it. And then after you do it, ask yourself, did that really work for me? Did it overflow my cup to go learn how to salsa dance? Did it overflow my cup to start internet dating? Did I really, really, really feel that good spending time alone that much in meditation? Maybe it's a spiritual group. So there's then checking in with yourself and asking yourself what really felt good. And then after that, go to what felt best, because our soul knows all the time. It just knows, like it knows when you're not following, letting your spirit be your guide. You get that nudge, you get that niggle, and all of a sudden you're like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Okay, so let me go back to the other thing. Let me check in again with that. And then the last piece is enjoy what you're doing. And
Mm,
your path will show you the way. Your path will show you the way. I, you know, it's so interesting, Patrick, being a published author now. I really struggled between in this process, because it took me like 12 years to finally get this book out, between having a destination wedding business called I Do Hawaiian Weddings, whose business name is It's All About Love, to the benefit of the ex. Like, that's a polar opposite, right? How am I going to blend those things together in a conversation? How am I going to get that to come together? And then when the heart card deck started to form up as a co-creation, I thought to myself, well, there's a way that I can, but the truth is with 50% of the world or the planet, or at least the United States, being divorced, it's not an uncommon conversation. But to perform a wedding for somebody while I've got a book called The Benefit of the Ex, it's a strange dichotomy. And so holding myself really in a place of love, and I'm not a love coach. I would definitely say, if anything, like I've repeated a couple of times, as have you have, is when we're accountable to ourselves. So when we get to that 5th step and we're actually enjoying ourselves, like last night, I went down to the lagoon in front of the Hilton Hawaiian Village at 9:00 at night, because there was a fellow there from Montreal, Canada, teaching kizomba dance. And I went by myself. There were friends that I knew that would be there, but they're not super close friends. But I went by myself because it felt that good. And when I felt, and I only stayed for 2 hours, and it was a 4-hour thing. But when I got home, I was like, good job, June. Pat myself on the back. I got in the shower, I went to sleep, and I woke up happy. So follow your bliss.
I love
Follow
it.
your bliss. Yeah.
I love it. And obviously the stress and toll a divorce can take on one's mental and emotional health is staggering. So in your opinion, what are a few things that people going through a divorce can do to alleviate this pain and anguish?
So a lifestyle change is important. Don't keep doing the same thing over and over again. A lifestyle change, choosing something and breaking the pattern of what was,
Hmm.
and inviting something new in. Maybe it's as simple as journaling. It could be as simple as that. So if you can break the pattern where your mind is spinning and spinning and spinning and telling the same story over and over again, I tell you, it's incredible. There is a app now called Clubhouse.
Yep.
And I really enjoy it. And there's one room there by this fellow by the name of Diraj Global. It's DERAJ Global. And all he shares are metaphysical truths. And today it was affirmations and meditation about how great I am. And I just, so like find your path, like actually ask for help. But it's important that you shift a pattern. I'm just asking you to shift one pattern. I'm not saying you need to go find a therapist. And by the way, a therapist is someone that works with your past up till now. And a coach is somebody who works with you now into the future. So if you're looking at a coach, I'm not going to be busy talking about your past. I want to know what you are actively wanting to do in your life today to make that change.
That's a significant clarification. I've never thought
Yeah.
about it, never heard about it, but thank you for sharing that. That's brilliant.
And
Okay.
it's exciting to think about the future. Why be busy thinking about the past? If you want to go see a
And through all
therapist.
the pain harvests in the past. So yeah, I love it.
Let's get through it. Let's
All right,
do
we're
it.
going to wrap this up in a few more questions, but you are a very influential person. If you could inspire movements that would bring the most amount of good to the most amount of people, what would that be? Because you never know what your ideas can trigger in others.
Wherever you go, I want you to ask yourself, am I making love visible?
Mm.
Am I making love visible? Am I being all that I am? Am I being kind? Am I saying good morning? Am I withholding? Sometimes when we withhold, we actually make love visible by not responding or reacting. If you could withhold from reacting and respond instead, that could be a way of making love visible.
I love
So
it.
in all of your actions throughout your entire day, ask yourself, am I making love visible? And not just for the outside world, but are you being kind to yourself? Are you making love visible for you? Are you feeling like you are love in action? And if you feel like crap, then do something. I don't know, go brush your teeth. Take a look at your smile in the mirror and say, this smile is worth it, until you can't stop looking at yourself and see the beauty of who you are. Make love visible wherever you go. I'm like super down on that. I just think I walked around Kapulani Park this morning and I was thinking about the heart, and I thought, I wonder if I could say, I make love visible and make t-shirts. That's just like my mind goes off to the races. And how are you making love visible today?
Fantastic. Well, I've got a last question about being unstoppable. We'll get to that in a minute. Before we do, where can people purchase a copy of The Benefit of the X? How can they buy their own book?
The easiest way is go to makinglovevisible.com. It's right there on the homepage, and it'll click you off to Amazon. And I think there's maybe 67 5-star reviews. And this was so cool, Patrick. Thanks to you, I followed your direction. I made an Amazon bestseller in 18 hours. So thank you for that coaching. It was awesome. I just had to say that really quick. Yeah, so makinglovevisible.com, and it is sold on Amazon. And that's the best way to find the book. Thank you for asking. And the heart cards are at heartcardsglobal.com.
Very good. And now if somebody wants to schedule a complimentary session with you as a accountability and relationship coach, do you offer a complimentary consultation, discovery session? And if so, how can people schedule their time with you to see if that's a good fit for them?
I do. Same place, makinglovevisible.com, or just call me. My number is 808-330-5555. Super easy. 808-330-5555.
Well, you did well with that number. So good
I asked. You
must ASK to GT.
That's
so
right.
As we finish this up, Mary West and I named this program the Patrick and Mary Unstoppable Author Interview Series. So with regards to love and relationships and divorce and marriage and living in the future and the present, what does the word unstoppable mean to you, to June Dillinger?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. The energy within that draws me forward. The energy within that draws me forward. And while I have spent a lot of money on this book and a lot of money on the heart cards, it doesn't matter, because my mission is to make love visible. And I know that there's a difference that I make. And when somebody comes up to me that I know, or maybe I see them at Unity or just in a random way, or the passive, maybe through Toastmasters, they say, June, guess what? I made love visible today. And I'm like, really? I'm so shocked. I'm so delighted. I'm like, you did? How'd you do that? It's so cool. So that's what I want to know is how do you make love visible today? So there's that unstoppable feeling that comes from within that moves you into your own greatness and understanding of who you are. Unstoppable.
June, I got to tell you, you are certainly living out your purpose, your mission, your soul level mission and goal. You are doing that. You are making love visible. So I'm absolutely honored and thrilled. So if you have a few moments, we'd love for you to stick around for Q&A. And let's everybody just give her a big thank you very much for having her on the show. You are incredible. I'm going to change this over to gallery view. And by the way, you can access this recording online, and Valerie will put in the chat box the website to get this recording within the next week or so. And also it will be posted on the author publisher's website on Facebook. And so as we begin the open forum Q&A, on the bottom of your screen, there's a reactions button. Just click on that button and then raise your hand. If you have any comments, any questions for June Dillinger, we'd love to spend about 5 or 10 or 15 minutes going over this. And then before you leave, we're going to get a group photo. So everybody get ready to hold your book up. And we'll do a group photo with June that will be posted on social media as well. So who's got comments or questions for June as we begin the Q&A statement? Okay, let's go to Annie Garland in Connecticut. Annie, go right ahead.
June, I was just so over. I mean, you are just exhilarating. You're a phenomenal speaker. I'm glad you're a public speaker. You know, when you talk about follow your bliss, the question I had, and you answered it so beautifully, because how do you meld, you know, the X and then the marriage and then the other component of what you do? And you did that so beautifully. I really so enjoyed all of what you said, and I can't wait to get your book. So
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a good feeling to feel it all. Like, come on, I'm going to be 60 this year. I'm like, what? When's my life going to come together? But I forget that the journey is my destination.
It is.
And to be present to the now moment really makes a difference. But that, again, you know, that's just not learned overnight. So thanks, Annie. I appreciate you.
Very good. Who else has got comments, questions, thoughts? Mary West. Oh, let's go to Carolyn Finch. Carolyn, go right ahead.
Thank you, June. That was electrific. Thank you so
Good
much.
word. Electrific. I'm going to take that.
Yes, it means when all the electricity in your body is flowing and you feel terrific.
Man, that's a great word. Thank you for introducing that to me. Electrific.
And it'll be in my book.
Awesome.
I have heard this statement many times that 50% of all marriages end in divorce. My question is, of those people who are not divorced, have you worked with people to keep them together? And what do you think that percentage is of people who stay together in spite of?
Probably the in spite of piece is about all of the outside noise that the world brings forward. I haven't worked with any couples that are trying to stay together. I work with individuals for coaching. However, I have had many married people that have read this book, and they have said it's been supportive because it keeps them in the flow of self and in relationship with their partner. And it reminds them of who they are and why they're there in their relationship. Does that help?
Yeah, I'm thinking of somebody in particular.
Yeah, so
my aunt was married for the first time when she was 83.
oh, beautiful. I love it.
She said she gave all the old maids in New England new hope.
I love it. My mother actually said to me the other day, Junie, do you remember so-and-so from church? I'm like, yeah. She said, well, she's 73 and she just got married. I'm thinking to myself, Mom, I'm only 59, but thank you very much. I love that.
Thank you so much, June.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, Carolyn.
Great question, Carolyn. Who else has got questions? Let's go to Kara Valentine in Washington. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much, June. How's the audio? You okay?
Good. Yep. Good.
I am new to the group, and I am going through my second divorce right now, which is all of the advice you've given so far. I've heard my inner voice provide me over the years, right? Even as I'm doing it sometimes, right? To the contrary. And I wanted to thank you for that, the affirmation of that, that inner knowing and wisdom is really where the key is for me in this process. My question to you is, after having done that palette cleanser that I have done this time, very differently than last time, and I really, what resonated with me was there are no shortcuts to any place worth going, which I really want to get completely on board with. And I believe in the power of community, and I believe in the power of divine intervention. And I believe that part of that opening of my heart involves opening up to what's available in community and connection to source. And so, not jokingly, but could occur as funny, is there any way I can get your cast off list? Because I understand fundamentally that there are people out there who are wired to discern quality partners and good, kind, loving men from those that are not, which is my historic group, right? I've had the fortune of being close with my first ex-husband. I'm still clear that my picker was off, right?
Yep, I've had a broken picker.
Yeah, and so just recalibrating how I treat myself and all of that. Would you consider that a shortcut though? Like going to community or source? I would like to know your thoughts on how those two truths can kind of exist if they do for you.
Everything comes from source, and you are the source. You are the co-creator of your own life with your spirit, your God. I'm not sure what your spiritual practice is, or even if you don't have one, it doesn't matter. Everybody has an inner voice. Every human being has an inner voice. And I was going to say the minute, as I was thinking, and then I'm like, not the minute, not the second, the millisecond, the flash of light where you have a knowing. If you are not paying attention to that, Carrie, you're ripping yourself off. You just are. Speaking from pure truth, from my own knowing, my own solid, rock solid knowing, because I rip myself off all day long. Just in a regular day that has nothing to do with a man that I might be interested in. I notice it all day long. In working with my high blood pressure, I'm like, oh, you're gonna have a cup of coffee today, right? And I watch myself pour the poison. So it's the millisecond, it's becoming aware of that feeling. And look, I can't tell you how much I hate it when friends say, June, you really need to know yourself better to get the right man. Or stuff like that. And I'm like, what more do I need to know about myself? Can't we work on relationship together? It's so annoying. But the truth is the more that I discover about me and the more I like myself, the more I love myself and the more happy I feel with me, the more smooth my day goes and the more possibilities could open up for me. So I'm just going to take it back to you, your own inner source. It's nothing outside of you. It's all within you. It's all within us. It's all within me. Hard. It's true. It's hard. And it's true.
Thank you.
So June, I have a new book title for your book number 3, if you want. And you said it right out of your mouth. So the book title could be Fixing Your Broken Picker. Fixing Your Broken Picker.
Watch how you say that.
Especially since it has an ing.
Yeah, run that through spell check and editing several times.
Yeah, I'm fixingyourbrokenpicker.com. So we're not talking about your nose picker either. We're talking about your actual picking of your relationship, obviously. Yeah. You guys are amazing, incredible. Valerie or Mary, or John, do you guys have any thoughts or questions?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say this was fantastic information, June. And I think that everyone that's going through a divorce should have your book. I think it'll help them through that. And I love your making love visible. If everybody did that every day, the world would be a better place. So thank you. It was great today.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that to June. It was great information. I was on the last time you were on, and I learned something different today than I did the last one. So like I said, sorry I couldn't be on camera. There's a little dude here that wants my attention, but awesome information. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad that you heard something different, Valerie. Carolyn.
I heard something too, something that would make me think that your book might be very helpful to people who have an ex who are right there with them, but they have Alzheimer's and other kinds of illnesses. And that it's almost like a divorce because they're not with them anymore, mentally, emotionally, physically.
Carolyn, you're leading right into what I was going to say, that it's not just for an ex-partner. It could be for an ex-boss. It could be for an ex-job, because this book is all about your own inner work and how you're doing it. Surely there are 7 stories of the benefit of the ex that I gathered out of over 50 that I chose that match the particular chapters. But yeah, and that's why, for married people, but I love that offer. Thank you so much. And then the part about making love visible too, on my website, there's a link that's called Love Bites, BYTES.
It's cute.
Like, I thought that would be kind of cute. And they're little clips of people and how they make love visible. And usually I ask, some of them are actually interviews, and most of them are clips though. And I ask them to make them a minute or less so I can post them on Instagram, because I don't want to have people have to push the button, watch more. So, but the Love Bites are pretty cool. So if any of you wanted to do a love bite on how you make love visible in a minute, you could just send me your video. Just say, hi, my name is Ann Peters. I make love visible this way. Or hi, my name is Mary West. I make love visible by working with Patrick Snow and rocking it with all these authors and sharing the good news of the world. And I would be happy to post it.
Very
Thank you.
good. Excellent. Excellent.
And you can share your books that way too.
All right. So to purchase a copy of June's book, go to makinglovevisible.com. Before we do our final photo with everybody, anybody else have any comments or thoughts? Okay. Let's go ahead and everybody grab your book or a book. And next week we've got Annie Garland. So Annie, hold up your book in that same place, same time, same phone number. And we've got Ann Peters with her book and Mary West. And there we go. So when you're ready, Valerie, go ahead and let us know when to smile.
Okay, so everybody ready? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Got it.
Can you send it to me?
Yes, yes, I
Okay,
can.
good.
Okay, and then this will be on the website. And also we're going to post this video once it's done. We'll put it on the author publishers group. So hopefully you guys are all members of that. And mark your calendars. Anybody that you know in your group that's involved in doing their own Zoom programs, Zoom networking, in-person networking events, or pulling off your own event whatsoever, you don't want to miss Annie Garland and the secrets of the serial networker. I'm going to run down to the post office or my mailbox down the street. I'm in one of those subdivisions where my mailbox is like 4 blocks away. And so hence I don't go every day, but people, remember the good old days when they put the mail on the porch or they put it through your door? And so now I go down to my mailbox and I need a wheelbarrow of stuff because I only go a couple times a week. But anyways, don't miss next week. You're in for a treat, Annie, and hopefully she'll have her guest chicken with us as well for next week as well. So June, thank you very much. This was amazing. We'll definitely have you on again in the years to come. And we so appreciate your brilliance, wisdom, and your compassion and empathy. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate all of you.
All right.
Bye.
I want to encourage everyone to copy the chat before you leave and connect with each other, get to know each other. Thank you again, June. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Valerie, and thank you all for being here. And I look forward to next week with Ann.
God bless everybody. Take care. All right. Goodbye.